before you even start writing your college applications, write out like 10 to 15 stories.
According to you, which is the most difficult part of the college application? After applying to 26 colleges, what do you think like college value in the application?
I reached out to so many professors. Just don't be afraid to cold email people on like LinkedIn or email.
So, hello Vanya, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm perfect, and congratulations for USC.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Vanya, as I already know about everything about your profile, your journey, so please can you share everything about your journey, when your journey started?
Yeah, so what do you mean? Like my college application journey or?
So there are two types of journey. First is like life journey. You realize that okay, I have to do something for my
Right.
future or something like that. And the second one, which is college application journey. So
Okay,
you
yeah.
can share both of them.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
So I was born in Burbank, California. It's on the outskirts of LA. So I'm actually from LA area, lived there for 8 years. And then I moved to Richmond, Virginia, where I am now. I've always been passionate about helping people, and with also having like coming from a family of like software engineers, I've also been introduced to like computer science and like AI really early on. So I realized how easily AI can be used to help people. And so that's kind of where my entire focus went, especially when it came to college applications. Right now at USC, I'll be studying at the newly created artificial intelligence for business program. So it's right down my alley when it came to seeing the applications of AI and things like that.
Okay, amazing. And I also want to know about your startups and your extracurriculars. So, how did you get an idea to start Dual AI?
Yeah, great question. So I had competed in the Virginia Datathon last year. It's like this competition where you have to analyze data sets. And the theme last year was unmasking maternal mortality. And maternal mortality wasn't something I had really thought much of. But again, in a data set, you're exposed to jarring statistics. So naturally, you're like, wow, this is a really big issue. That's exactly what happened during the datathon. I realized that socioeconomically disadvantaged birth givers are almost 3 times more likely to die during their pregnancy than others. And so I realized, you know what? Again, using that same AI background, how can AI be leveraged to sort of provide resources and empower these women and birth givers? So that's exactly what DoulAI is. It's like a AI-driven maternity care application for low-income and socioeconomically disadvantaged women.
Okay, amazing. I appreciate your efforts because you are using technology to save a person or save a life. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's amazing. And what about your other extracurriculars? If we are talking about your top most extracurriculars, so please can you list down your top most impactful extracurriculars?
Yeah, so I think the first extracurricular that I had was my research project. I had worked with a Harvard grad to do research on how AI tools for social media marketing can help AAPI, meaning Asian American and Pacific Islander entrepreneurs who had been affected by like blame for the pandemic and racism, and how they can offset their business back up again using AI. So I had written an entire research paper, 22 pages. It was published in the Social Science Research Network, which is a pretty big honor. They only accept around 14%. So that was a really good honor. That was, I think, my first one. My second one was DoulAI, like I just said. I'm like blanking off the top of my head. Could you like ask me specific questions about which ones you want me to talk about?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Like you have tons of extracurriculars, but I personally love your some extracurriculars like Henrico Innovation Challenge. So please, can you explain about like when you involved and how you managed to?
Yes, Henrico Innovation Challenge was also one of my like very like favorite extracurriculars that I did. I love competing in competitions. I do a lot of like business competitions like DECA, FBLA. These are like business organizations here in the US that host thousands and thousands of business competitions for you to do everywhere from like entrepreneurship and innovation. So from that experience and winning competitions, and I realized, there's certain strategies that you can use to actually do really well in competitions, I founded the Henrico Innovation Challenge at my school because I realized a lot of other students don't know how to win competitions or they're not really excited about it. So it was sort of just, mentoring low income students. We had students from like areas that, weren't well off, like middle school students. So we invited them and we held conferences for them and we had workshops and we sort of equipped them with like really well applications. Actually, one of the groups that I had mentored, they were 5 middle school girls. And we had created a period product company, basically tackling the issue of period poverty and textile waste. So we would repurpose textile waste to create things like pads and period underwear. And that actually won at the Samsung Technology Competition, and we won over $12,000. So it was a great honor as well with that.
Amazing, amazing, amazing experience and journey. And I think you also have like similar kind of extracurriculars or not extracurriculars, but experiences in future. So I appreciate. And what about when I just scrolling your profile, I just saw a word which is Hindi. So I thought Hindi. Then I just researched about the whole extracurricular. So you also have an experience, and at the end of the day, how you come with an idea to teach Hindi to high school students, because it's little bit uncommon in USA.
Yeah, so I learned Hindi because at our local temple we have Richmond Hindu School. So that's where I learned there for like 4 or 5 years. I was really bad at it, but then once I started building confidence through watching like Bollywood movies, I sort of became a lot better at speaking. And so I was like, I need to share this with a lot of my other friends because a lot of them were hesitant to speak Hindi because when your parents are so fluent and it's their language, it's a little bit off-putting and intimidating to sort of speak when everyone else is so good at it and you're not. So that's kind of what I was doing, like helping them build confidence when it came to speaking Hindi.
Okay, interesting. So you understand Hindi, right?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. And you are like not proficient, but you know a little bit Hindi, right? Little bit Hindi.
No, I'm proficient now.
Okay, amazing. And what about I think you also have experience of Bollywood song. You are performing Bollywood songs, right?
Yeah. So I was a piano teacher for 2 years. There's three local like elementary school kids in my neighborhood, and I invited them to teach. I would cost like $10 a class. It wasn't much. It wasn't really about the money, but I love playing the piano. So I was teaching them how to play, and I usually perform for nursing homes. So the four of us would go and we would perform, and I would also play like Bollywood songs, to represent my culture and things like that.
Amazing. And Vanya, what about SAT preparation?
So SAT preparation, yeah. So I did a class for it. I did it for math mostly. I took the ACT actually. I wasn't really more of an SAT person just because reading was not my strength. But yeah. Okay.
So how much you scored in the SAT?
I took the ACT, but yeah, I got a 32. It wasn't great.
Okay, totally
Yeah.
makes sense. Totally makes sense. And
I didn't submit my scores to USC.
yeah, it's a good decision. And what about AP exams?
Yeah.
AP exams?
Yeah, so I was actually part of the IB program at my school. So there wasn't really much space in my schedule to actually take APs. So yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And what about your experience of visit Filira?
Valera, yeah. So Valera was this concept that I had created with some of my friends who I do Model UN with. I don't know if you know what Model UN is. Model United Nations. It's just this club where you reenact like historical events as like countries, in the United Nations. And so basically we came together and we came up with this idea that we can repurpose textiles using chemical engineering to make paper. And that's exactly what we did. And we ranked top 10 on the East Coast for like socially innovative ideas.
Okay, got it. And what about article writing? I think you also have extracurriculars, ECS related to article writing.
Yeah, so I'm also really passionate about like mental health, especially after COVID. I think that sort of hard launched. It's called Lol Blog. It's a mental health blog for just teens to sort of talk about their issues. My friend and I, we came together and we were like, yeah, we love like writing about random topics about mental health. So we talk about productivity, how you can, sleep schedule, things like that, just common teen problems. And we write them out. And we had around 1,100 followers on Instagram for our blog. So,
Amazing. And what about your
yeah.
college application journey? Like, according to you, which is the most difficult part of the college application, according to you?
Yeah. So I applied to 26 colleges. So, yeah, I would say the hardest part was honestly just catering. Okay, there's different word counts for every single application, but all of the prompts tend to be relatively similar. So it was just a really tedious process of like cutting down or adding words. Some applications needed to be pages long, like for example, U Chicago was like 5, 6 pages, whereas others were like 150 words. So you had to really put in time and effort to sort of actually make it seem like you're putting your best foot forward for all of these colleges. One thing I will advise to people who are probably watching this is before you even start writing your college applications, write out like 10 to 15 stories. Have a story about your biggest accomplishment, maybe like your background, your diversity, like a why major, like why you're choosing what you're majoring in, maybe like an overcoming a hurdle story, and also have one about like how you collaborated in teams. So just having these stories already written out streamlines the entire process because for me the issue wasn't having stories. Like as you can tell, I had so many experiences to talk about. The issue is again the tedious process of like the word counts and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And I always suggest to all students to write a 7,000 word essay. Not essay, it's a personal story. So write everything about your journey, like about your high school, about your experiences and all. So it gives them a brief overview about their profiles, because sometimes they have gold but they are just showing silver, because they don't have any much idea. For example, if yeah, like there is a prompt, or there is a question in college application, write about your greatest achievements, and when you feel the most luckiest person. So sometime you write about a time where you thought that yeah, it's the best story, but after review or after analyzing everything, we realized that okay, at that time I can also add that story with my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what about your family? Like any one of your family members, friends, not friends, like brother, sister, is studying in any top universities?
I'm actually an only child. I am the first one to actually go off. Yeah, first and only.
Amazing. And what about financial aid? Did you apply for financial aid?
Yes, so that's something that I'm working on with USC right now. They're always very like I don't want to say stingy, but they definitely take their time when it comes to giving you financial aid. So, but I've already realized that USC is where I want to go. So,
And to be honest, like when you were applying to universities, which university is your dream university?
I that was actually one thing that I realized. So after I had applied to 26 colleges, sort of the top three that I had gotten into were Tulane, the University of Michigan, and USC, which I mean, yeah, they're really, really selective schools, really amazing schools, but I was really disappointed because I wanted to go to Berkeley and Stanford and schools like that. And I was looking at Tulane, UMich, and USC as at like a very surface level perspective. But like, when it came around to actually committing to a certain college, I got the opportunity to actually delve deeper and I realized like these schools all have something in common and it was sort of the student body, like the student characteristic framework or like sorry, the framework of like the student that goes there. They're all very entrepreneurial, innovative. They're always out and about in their community, trying new things. You know, they're outgoing, and I guess that's kind of what contributes to like the party scene that I didn't like. But, I was sort of looking at it at a very surface level, which is what I was missing. And I realized, oh my God, that's actually what colleges look for. Like, it's not about your stats or extracurriculars. It's about like your characteristics and values. Like every single person was like that. They all had that same foundational model with their own sort of spike or niche. And I think that's exactly what colleges look for when it comes to the admissions process. Like all your stats and extracurriculars do is sort of build up that personality, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And there is the concept of best fit, and I think like God have plans
Yes,
for
100%.
everyone. Yeah, God have plans for everyone. So maybe yourself would be the best like choice or best fit for you. And in future, you will get into Harvard, Stanford as a transfer applicant if you will apply. So yeah, God have plans for everyone. And what about like essay advice? Any kind of advice for the students who don't have any kind of idea about how to write essay, how to start? So any tips or any strategies for the students?
Yes. So, like I said, the 10 to 15 stories, 100%, that's really crucial. Colleges also always love having a social justice aspect that's what something I've noticed. As you can see, like all of my extracurriculars sort of had some sort of social justice or like helping someone focus. Like that's something that they really, really value because it shows selflessness and courage. So I will always suggest people to have sort of help someone, like make sure what you're doing isn't just like benefiting yourself, it's like actually helping your community. And when you do have that, stray away from doing things that are very politically controversial. I know people like, for example, like the Israeli-Palestine conflict, people have very mixed feelings on that. So maybe don't like stay away from topics like that because again, you don't know the political beliefs of your admissions officers and you don't want to risk, saying something that they might like disagree with. Same thing with religion. I would say to stray away from talking about religion unless you're talking about religious discrimination and how you combated that, because that goes in with social justice, if that makes sense. Um, I guess one thing that I did with my extracurriculars in the additional information section, I had links to everything. I'm someone who loves making like websites or social media accounts for every club or organization that I join or I'm part of. So for every single extracurricular, I was like, please visit this, please visit this. Like, and it was like a link. So rather than just having numbers, have images and websites. So also one thing that I did was I had an entire portfolio of everything because like again, you can tell that I do so many things that it can't just fit in words. Like I had so many like pictures to go along with it. So I'd actually developed a website like showing everything with videos, and so it's just more proof that I actually did it. Things like that. And I had linked in my additional information section. So I would say to make use of that section. Like, don't leave anything blank.
Yeah, definitely. And like just telling that, okay, I have that extracurricular, I did this, instead of doing this,
Yeah.
like creating a social media account, LinkedIn, and a website, portfolio website. It's a great idea. I always suggest, and yeah, thank you for sharing this in like most important, you can say that tip to all students. And Vanya, what about your future plans?
Yeah, I really want to go into AI management. So again, like the AI for Business program, it's perfect for an AI management job because you have like the best benefits of understanding actually what AI is and what it can do for businesses. So, overseeing that, that's something that I'm really passionate about. Again, probably something either nonprofit or philanthropy work as well, something along those lines. But everything's kind of up in the air right now. I'm always all over the place doing everything. So,
Okay, interesting, interesting. And previously you mentioned that you love to create websites and you also have AI experience. So, like, how you manage to learn all those skills and academics? How you managed everything, academics with extracurriculars and skills?
it took a lot of time management, but So there was this TED Talk that I actually watched. I don't remember the name of it, but basically it was like if you truly care about something, you'll prioritize it. And she used the example of, you know, a washing machine kind of working, but not like still fully functional. And no one really has the urge to fix it until all of a sudden your washing machine is flooding your entire house. Because you'll make the excuse like, oh, I'm so busy, like I don't have the time to sit and fix this, until all of a sudden it becomes a priority. And so once you truly like realize what your priorities are, you make the time for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because like if you have priorities and if you have that, okay, I have to do this first and it's super crucial for me, then yeah, it will automatically,
Exactly.
yeah,
You forget about everything else. It's
yeah,
just it's just
yeah,
that's your focus.
just focus on that. Okay. And
Right.
we are also working on many projects related to AI. So we will discuss further. Like in the last,
Yeah.
any advice for students?
I reached out to so many professors. Just don't be afraid to cold email people on like LinkedIn or email. That was one of the best things I did, and professors will respond. I had so many professors send me paragraphs. Like I would be scrolling for minutes reading their responses because professors are always like truly passionate about what you do. So whenever I was applying to a college, I would be reaching out to professors that I might potentially have. I like for example, at UVA, I applied for CS. So I was reaching out to CS professors about DoulAI. I was like, hey, I'm building this application for low income women using AI. I'm also like an aspiring student at UVA. Could you give me some feedback on this? And they'll love to do it. Like they genuinely will take the time out of their day to do it. So never be afraid to do that. Um, Always seek out of the classroom learning opportunities. I think this is something that I don't see with international students a lot. Like I know with my cousins and family in India, they're always just concerned about school and school. But genuinely here in the US, they look more at skills than they do marks. So that's one of the things that I think is really, really important. Just realize that like you don't really gain skills by memorizing essays and regurgitating it on a test. You learn skills by actually going out and doing projects and things like that.
Exactly, exactly. And it's not
Yeah.
the end. I also have many questions. After applying to 26 colleges, what do you think like college value in the application?
Right. So, like I said, the characteristics that you have, it's not about your stats or extracurriculars. They look for a foundational person with, their own sort of spike or niche, like someone who has the same values of being outgoing, innovative, entrepreneurial. For example, that I'm just using USC and like Tulane and UMich as the examples here. But I know for MIT, you can probably say that people are more academically driven. They're focused on one thing. They're not like all over the place all at once. Like there's different values, but people are like the same value in sort of like different fonts, if that makes sense. Like that's exactly what everyone at MIT is like, maybe. I don't know. You can probably attest to that. But I like at USC, that's what I've noticed. Like everyone has the exact same values and characteristics. They're just very different within their own industry or niche. And then another thing is colleges love research. So the research paper that I had that was published, they love it because that's exactly what you're doing all throughout college. It's just research. And so seeing that you can actually do college level like projects is a really good thing for them.
Amazing. And how did you manage to create that kind of competitive application? Like, because we know that creating a competitive or a strong profile, it's crucial. So how did you manage? And like as you already mentioned that you are not the best student, but you have a strong profile.
Yeah, like I said, I had a 32 ACT. It's not great. It's probably very, very average. And for a school like USC, it's not something that's top tier. But again, I had research, I had all my extracurriculars backing it up. And the one thing about me is marks were never really something I focused on. I was, again, a very out of the classroom learner. I was always out and about. And this was reflected in my transcript as well with like the absences that I had because I was always on field trips at conferences. But for me, like if I didn't understand like a class like history, I wouldn't, immediately opt to like a textbook and start like memorizing historical facts. I would, start like creating a club like Model United Nations where I can actually enact historical events and actually learn from it myself, things like that. And then another thing was the website. I mean, college admissions officers are looking at a blank white or like a white page every single day for hours on end. It's just a really boring visual. So having something that they can click on where, it's videos, it's images, I can send you my website. It's very like interactive and like yeah, and you can definitely share that around with people. I don't mind. But yeah, I had like a visual for them to actually go through so they can actually see who I was as a person. And then again, don't just have like no connections. Like if you're applying to 26 schools, you can't make it seem like you're applying to 26 schools. You have to actually show them that you did the research beforehand. And, so you want to reach out to professors and faculty and have them sort of support you on your application. For example, with UVA, there's University of Virginia, there's an optional supplemental where they ask, do you know any students or faculty and how have they influenced you and what makes like what about their experience makes you want to come to UVA. That's when I put exactly what that UVA professor told me. They were like, the professor was like, wow, I love your work with DoulAI. I think we would love to have you at UVA. And so that's exactly what I put. So, yeah.
Yeah, so interesting, so inspiring, amazing. And Vanya, like any tips for students, like on how to manage or how to structure the whole application?
Yeah, so the admissions officers read it chronologically. So you want to make sure that your most important or most impressive things come first. So I had my research paper first, and I had dual AI, things like that, things of importance. And you want to put the things that relate to your major first as well. So again, the research and dual AI were perfect for AI for business. So, I would like customize it depending on which school I was applying to and what major.
So, Vanya, you cleared most of the doubts and questions, and I will add everything about your profile in the description about your extracurriculars because you have tons of things. If we will discuss each and every extracurricular activity and all, it takes like hours. So that's why. So at the end of the
Okay, yeah, that was like
yeah,
information.
yeah, Vanya. So any
You can also put my Instagram in there just so if they want to reach out, that's fine with me too.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I will add everything about your profile. And Vanya, what about as we know that college application is crucial. There are tons of students, they are struggling, they have doubts, they have questions, but there is nothing like no one who is really helping. Most of the people just creating content, and some are like getting paid or have paid programs. So, any kind of advice for students who don't have money or who don't want to, you can say that, invest money on applications. So, any advice for them?
I think this is something that I work with, like with the Henrico Innovation Challenge, like we were talking about earlier, where we provide resources to people who don't have it for competitions. And one thing we realized was the resources are out there. Like you have the internet at the end, like the touch, the tip of your fingers. Everything is out there. It's just people aren't searching for it. So, one thing that I will recommend using is generative AI. I don't know, Google Gemini is really, really resourceful. If you just have a conversation with it and you're like, I'm struggling with my college applications, it's a really nice resource. That's something that I use, especially when doing research. I was like, I need here's my supplemental. What are some things about a college that I can just include, like information, niche things, like clubs or organizations that relate to this, that I might be interested in it because this is my major? And it would just, give me tons of links and resources that were really, really helpful in the end. So I guess just don't be afraid to use AI tools.
Thank you for sharing this kind of most important like advice for all students. And Vanya, yeah, you covered most of the things. I will add everything about your profile in the description. So if anyone have any doubt, any question, then just ask. Okay, just feel free to ask anything. Like she's, you can say that super helpful. She will help, help you if possible. So don't spam. But if you have genuine answer or genuine question, then you can ask. So thank you, Vanya. And Vanya, at the end of this interview, any views about or CTS, cross the sky limits, and me, any past experience with us?
Yeah, like I said before this started, I love what you guys do. I was looking at your videos right before this and I was like, wow, like things like the CSS profile and FAFSA, like this is basic information that I was handed to in like sophomore year. Like I can't imagine how hard it must be for international students. I mean, if I wanted to apply internationally, like I would not know how to navigate that process at all. So, and I know like the desire to study in America is huge. So I love what you're doing. I think it's really impactful and I think it's really important.
Your journey, your story is amazing, and thank you for helping our international students because it's crucial to get into top university. But because of you, because of students like you, who is providing support, guidance, and mentoring all international students, will create impact. So thank you. Let's cross the sky limit.
Let's cross the sky limits.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Vanya. Bye bye.